If you want to be the master of colors and you could just learn one tool, it would undoubtedly be the hue saturation adjustment. By the end of this video, you'll have entirely mastered hue saturation right from the concept on how to apply, target, modify, fix, and change colors using a plethora of real-world examples. And you can use these timestamps to skip to any chapter of this video. Even though we are using the new version of hue saturation, the core controls remain the same. So if you're using an older version of Photoshop, you would be perfectly fine. So without any further ado, let's get started. Starting with the concept of hue saturation, every color that you see around you has a hue, saturation, and lightness value, including this red dragon. Let's understand it better with the help of these three examples. You see, when you apply hue saturation, you have three major adjustments: hue, saturation, and lightness. Hue is what color? Is it green, red, yellow, purple, magenta? What color is it? What root color is it? So when you change the hue, it just changes the color. Whether it is red, whether it is yellow, whether it is green, blue, purple, hue just determines what color is it. Saturation, on the other hand, determines how much of that particular color. Is it dull? Is it vibrant? Let us take a look at this example. If we change the saturation and reduce it, we have less of that color. It's dull. If we take it to the right, it's becoming more vivid, vibrant. If we take it all the way to the right, it's full color. Now, lightness is pretty simple. It determines how light or dark that color is. In this particular case, if we change the lightness, what it's basically doing is just adding white or black. So if we take lightness to the right, it just adds white. If we take lightness to the left, it just adds black. That's all there is to it. So let's do a quick reminder. Hue is what color? You determine whether it's red, yellow, green, blue, or any of that. Saturation is how much of that color. Is it dull, vivid, vibrant? You decide. And lightness is simply adding white or black, light and dark. There are two ways to apply the hue saturation adjustment. One as an adjustment layer, two as an adjustment. This is a picture of a painting my mom made, and I felt that it is quite dull because I took it with my phone and it doesn't quite do justice to how vibrant it actually is. So for it, let us add a hue saturation adjustment layer. First way of doing that, by clicking on the adjustment layer icon and then choosing hue saturation. What this does is that it allows us to apply the adjustment to all the layers beneath this adjustment layer. For this example, let us increase the saturation just a little bit to about 14 or 15, and this does the trick. Here's the before, here's the after. And if you think it is too much, you can always decrease the opacity or decrease the amount of saturation. You can get back to those settings by double-clicking here. This gets you to the property of that adjustment layer. Another way of applying hue saturation is as an adjustment. Let us delete this by dragging and dropping it to the trash can. You can also select it and press the delete key. Again, so many ways of doing the same thing in Photoshop. With this layer selected where you want to apply the hue saturation adjustment, simply go to Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation. You will see the similar window and we can increase the saturation. Let's say we accidentally increase it too much. Now the problem is if we hit OK, it is burned to the pixels. We cannot change it. Let's say after this you did 1,000 steps, you will have to undo everything to get back to the hue saturation adjustment. We are stuck. So I recommend always applying it as an adjustment layer when you can. However, there are some certain situations where you have to apply it as an adjustment. And for those situations, I recommend that you right-click on the layer and then choose Convert to Smart Object. You convert this layer into a smart object so that now when you apply the adjustment by going to Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation, no matter what you do, you can always change it later. Hit OK. See, it is applied as a smart filter. If you don't see it, click on this arrow right there and you double click here to get back to the settings and you can change it to whatever fits best for you. Hit OK. Let's start with something simple. And here we will start with a simple global adjustment. Let's say we want to keep the rows in color and the rest of the areas black and white. How do we do that? First of all, we need to select the rows And in the later versions of Photoshop, you can simply use the object selection tool. If you're using an older version of Photoshop, you can use the quick selection tool as well and take your time to select it. But with the object selection tool, if you have object finder turned on in the settings, if you have object finder turned on right there, as you hover over the image, it automatically detects the objects. You just have to click, it automatically makes a selection. Let's get back to the move tool. And now click on the adjustment layer icon and then choose hue saturation. The hue saturation adjustment layer will be created with the rows as a mask. But right now, if we make any change, it's making change to the rows and not the other areas. So how do we apply it in the other areas? Simply invert the mask. Select the mask and then press Ctrl or Command I. Mask is inverted and now you can take down the saturation just like so. Also, just to add some more charm, let's make the other areas a little darker as well. For it, let's create a curves adjustment layer by clicking on the adjustment layer icon and then choosing curves, and simply we are going to take it down. Now we didn't want to apply it on the rows, so what do? We can copy this mask, or just to apply it in the same areas, you can also create a clipping mask. Simply click on this button and there you go. It is limited to the area of the hue saturation. And from there, you can do several experiments like making it darker, making it slightly faded, all up to you. Now it is time for us to move to simple targeted adjustments. You see, targeted adjustments are adjustments when you target a specific color and modify it. As simple as that. In this case, let us create a hue saturation adjustment layer again by clicking on the adjustment layer icon and choosing hue saturation. By the way, I always wonder why they make kids' shoes so beautiful, so adorable, so vibrant, but when it comes to adult shoes, why are they mostly boring? And if you want the vibrant one, they're always super expensive, especially for men. So in this case, let's say you want to modify the yellow. There are a couple of ways you can do this. You can use the hand at the top. Now, as you notice the icon, you will notice arrows on the right and left instead of up and down. What does that mean? It simply means that when you select the hand icon here and you go here, click and drag it to the right or left, it modifies something. In this case, it modifies the saturation. If you wanted to modify hue, what would we do? We would hold the Control or Command and then click and drag it to the right or left to modify it accordingly. I can keep it red if I like and leave it at that. Now, once you have targeted a specific color, in this case the yellows, there's two things that's going to happen. In the older version of hue saturation, you would see a drop down here and the yellows will be selected from that drop down once you target it. In the new hue saturation, instead of that drop down, you now have all of these colors shown in real time. Since we are targeting the yellows, the yellow palette is right now activated and half of it is red. You know why? Because we are targeting the yellow and making it red. If we make it any other color, like let's say purple, it was yellow before, we targeted the yellows and made it purple. Now, once you are targeting a color, you can also work with lightness. You can make it white or black. Now, black doesn't seem perfectly fine, but we can make it brighter like this and decrease the saturation to make it a bit more natural. Lightness only works well if you're targeting a specific color. If you are on master settings, in this case, this is the master settings. You'll see that on the drop down as well in the older version of Photoshop. You can change the overall hue, the overall saturation of the entire image, but when you try to change the lightness, it just adds white like so all the way through, or black if you take it to the left hand side. So if you are on master settings, there is no need to modify the lightness. You can just simply add a solid color adjustment layer, change the opacity. But if you are selecting and targeting a specific color, then you can modify the lightness. Then it makes sense. In this case, I'm just going to leave it red with a little less saturation or a little less lightness. This seems to be perfectly fine for me. Now, to target a different color with the same hand activated, let's say I want to change this green here. I can click and drag it to the right to make it more saturated, drag it to the left to make it less saturated, or release it, hold the Control or Command, click and drag to change it. Now, the selection might not be proper. We're going to get to that later, but for right now, this is an easy way to adjust the colors. Another way to target specific colors is just picking them from this palette. Or if you're using an older version of Photoshop, you will have a drop down to select the yellows, or reds, so on and so forth. Let us reset everything by clicking on this button. Let's say I wanted to modify the yellows. So without using the hand, let's deactivate it. I can just simply click on the yellow here and modify it however I want. I can just click on this color and modify it however you want. So those were some ways to make easy targeted adjustments, but I have to give you a warning. Let's say you made all of these changes. As you can see, we targeted the yellows in this case and changed the hue. Everything looks fine. Even if we close this document and open it again, let me quickly close this. And now when I open the document again, go back to hue saturation, see, it gets back to master and you don't see any change. The thing is, you have to get back to those particular colors to see the change. Now let's talk about adjust colors and prominent colors, a relatively new and incredible feature in the later versions of Photoshop. If you had to simply add a hue saturation adjustment, you will have all of these default colors to select and target. But what if you had an automatic technology to analyze the colors of this particular image and create a palette based on that? Wouldn't that be super convenient? Let us delete this first. The first way to use this is activating the contextual taskbar. If you don't already see it, right-click outside the canvas and click on Show Contextual Taskbar. It will automatically show you a button called Adjust Colors. Let's click on it. It automatically analyzes the image in that split second and gives you the colors available in that particular image. So in this image, we have the blue blazer and pant that he's wearing, and then we have the skin tones, all of that, and only those colors show up here. So you can easily select the color of his clothes. So this blue matches the most. I'm gonna click there and you can modify it to whatever you wish. See the red, see the green, all of them look amazing. If you wanted to make it black, you can do that like this. If you wanted to make it slight grayish, something like this looks fine, and decrease the saturation. Light gray, that is also possible. So many options directly from here. And whatever changes you have made here, it automatically creates a hue saturation adjustment. And if you open the properties for that by double clicking here, the same thing will be right here. If you go to this, you'll see the changes that you have made. And you can play with it according to your wish. You can make it whatever color you want. For this example, let's say we decrease the saturation all the way down and create a black blazer like so. We also want to target the skin tones. You have the same palette here that we had here. Let's pick the skin tone and make it slightly more saturated, just like so. And just so easily, we have modified so many colors. Here's the before overall. Here's the after. Looks like the guy from Max Payne if you have played that game. But what if you don't like to use the contextual taskbar and you want those same colors to show up inside of hue saturation? How do we make it happen? First of all, let me hide the contextual taskbar. For me, sometimes it's a distraction. Let us create a hue saturation adjustment layer by clicking on the adjustment layer icon, choosing hue saturation. Right now, we just have the default colors. All you have to do is to click on the preset dropdown and choose prominent colors. It analyzes the image and gives you the colors from the image. The green of her top, you have it here. The blue in the background, you have it there. And the red scooter, you have that red here. Makes this so much more convenient. Let's say you want to make the scooter white. Let's select the red directly from there and just increase the lightness. I'm going to decrease the saturation. There you go. It's silver. Now it's completely white. So it's up to you how bright you want it. I'm going to keep it 92. But it's also affecting her skin and she looks like a marble statue. We don't want that. Have a look at the leg, absolute marble statue. That's because our skin tones also have elements of red. Keep in mind, it's being colored by the blood underneath. And we all bleed the same color. Let us always remember that. With the mask selected, press Ctrl or Command I to invert it. Take the brush with white as the foreground color, just paint over the scooter and you should be fine, like so. You can be careful around the light because we want that to be red. Now these areas are not targeted and we'll learn how to target everything in the finer adjustment section in this video later. But for right now, let us just paint on the scooter. There you go, a white scooter. So good. And you can create several variations of this. If this video is making sense so far, you already know that Photoshop keeps changing and we need to keep ourselves at the top of our games by keeping ourselves informed and learned with all of these new tools and techniques. And if you're looking for a resource to master Photoshop from start to finish and beyond, something that is always updated, definitely check out PiXimperfect Pro. We have more than 100 dedicated lessons on how to not just master Photoshop, but actually be the master of concepts so that you never have to memorize the steps. This lesson that I'm teaching right now is definitely included in addition to a complete course on just color in Photoshop. You also have access to more than 200 practice files, assets that you can download and follow along. And if you have questions on any lesson, you can ask them, we answer them, and we take great pride in that. So definitely check out PiXimperfect Pro only on PiXimperfect.com. Now this next feature will absolutely change your color game in Photoshop, and that is advanced targeting. We already know that we can create a hue saturation adjustment layer and target whatever color we wish. For instance, with the help of the hand, let's say I want to target the blues by clicking here. Let's decrease the lightness to see which areas we are targeting. But there is one problem with this. Can you tell me what that is? Take a look at the image again. I'm going to deselect the hand right now. Let's say you wanted to select this sliver of blue, not this entire thing or this shade of green. How do you even do that? If I were to select the hand again and select this, and now when I modify it by changing the hue, it is just changing the entire thing, not that particular shade. Let's reset it again. Even if we are not using the hand, we just have limited color options. We can select the reds and modify the hue of that area, but we cannot select that sliver of orange. So how do we select the exact range of colors we want? And that's where advanced targeting comes in handy. Let's reset everything by clicking on this button. Here we have a strip of all colors, as you can see from left to right. Now you'll see something similar inside of hue saturation as well. The top bar is the before, the bottom bar is the after. In other words, the top bar determines what color are you targeting, and the bottom bar determines what are you turning it into. For instance, if I move this range independent of all of this, if I move this range to this shade of green, and then I change the lightness all the way down, you see the bar again. We are targeting this shade of green, and what are we doing to it? We are making it black. If we make it white, see, this area becomes white too, the bottom bar. And if we change the hue to something else, you see this representation again? It is the exact same image that we have created here. The top part determines the area that we are targeting, and the bottom part is what we are turning it into. Now let's say you want to target a specific shade of purple. How do we do that? There are a couple of ways. First of all, let's reset everything. Now, let's say this is the shade of purple that I want to target. You can use the hand right there, select it, and then click on the shade that you want to target. Let's click here. Let's change the hue and saturation all the way to the right to see which areas are being targeted. You can also use the lightness. That is up to you. In this case, I'm just going to take the lightness to the left-hand side just to make it easy for us to understand. Now, this is not the exact shade that we wanted to target. So we can move the range here. Let's move it to the left. There you go. This is the exact shade that we wanted to modify. But there is an issue here. The selection is quite broad. We want to make it narrower. And to do that, we have to make the range sliders narrower as well. So let's make them narrower like so. This is fine. And you can move it by holding the middle. Click and hold the middle to move it around. This is the shade, let's say, that you wanted to modify. Now there's another problem. If you feel that the target is very harsh and you want to make the transition smoother, use the transition sliders on the outside. If we increase the space between the edge and the transition slider, see, it becomes smoother on the right, as you can see here. Similarly, let's do it there. See what is happening? And you can hold from here to make the range bigger or smaller, and you can hold from here to make the range bigger or smaller. So that's one way and my preferred way of targeting a specific color. Another way is, let's reset everything. Let's say you want to select this shade of blue. So you can simply use the eyedroppers here. Select the first eyedropper and click. And now we are going to modify the lightness like so. The issue is, it's also targeting a bit of blue that we didn't want. So how do we control that? With the negative eyedropper, select that, and you can subtract this particular area. You see this is becoming narrower. Let's say you wanted to select more of this color, select the plus eyedropper, and you can add that. And as you do, see it becomes larger and larger, see? Now it's even more larger. And don't worry, these are not two separate sliders. They move in a circle. So if I move it here, it comes out from that other area. And then if you want to target a different color, go back to the first eyedropper, select a different color, and with the plus and minus, you can adjust how much of that you want to target. And once you're done, do not forget to deactivate these buttons. Now let's get to some real-world applications of advanced targeting. This is where the fun actually starts. She's wearing red lipstick, red nail paint, but her skin also has red, so does all of our skin. So if we were to create a hue saturation adjustment and just target the reds by clicking here, and if we modified the hue or the saturation, it modifies everything, not just the nail paint and the lipstick. So we need to use advanced targeting to select just that sliver of red. Here's how we do it. Let's reset everything. With the help of the hand, click on it, and I'm going to use the nail paint as an example. Click here. Let's choose this sample. Now I want to turn her from Taylor Swift red to Lady Gaga black. But as we do that, her skin also goes desaturated. So what do we need to use? The range here. The trick that I suggest is making the range very, very narrow like so. And make the hue saturation adjustment properties wider by clicking and dragging here so that you have more precise control. I'm going to make it like this. Bring it here. Let's scroll down. Make it very, very narrow. And from the center, you can move it around to make sure only the lips are being targeted. And then you can zoom in and extend it to make sure that you select it all. This is fine. And on the left hand side as well, there you go. This covers all. You want to make sure that it doesn't get into the skin. If we do it too much, it will get into the skin. So find that balance here. On the left hand side, it is fine. And now let's make the transitions smoother. Similarly here, make the transition smoother, but I'm going to take it a little bit on the inside. This transition looks accurate, and there we have it. Let's have a look at the before and after. I'm going to reset it to how it was. Here is the before, and here is the after, from Swift to Gaga. But there are definitely certain issues like on the teeth. So let's select the mask, take the brush with black as the foreground color, press X to toggle between the foreground and the background. You can definitely erase the additional areas. And overall, this looks like an incredible start. Now I took the time to make few more changes like decreasing the saturation inside of the mouth so that it's not too much red, fixing the edges, and this is how it looks. Nails and lips done. After that, we simply decreased the saturation inside of it. And then these areas were looking a little odd, so with the remove tool, I covered them. Not a big deal. Let's look at a few more quick examples for fun. Let's say you want a white Audi or a black Audi instead. First of all, let's create a selection just to make it easier for us. Select any of these three tools. At the top, click on Select Subject. It creates a rough selection. Once you have the selection active, and then when you create a hue saturation adjustment, it comes with that mask. So other areas are already not affected. And then let's target this orange by using this hand. Clicking on that orange, modifying the hue and the saturation all the way to the right to see which areas are being affected, and then you can expand the range from here. So I'm just going to expand it to the right. See, everything is covered right now. And let's expand it to the left as well. This seems fine. Double click on the saturation slider and the hue slider to reset it, and you can make it black or white. I'm going to leave it white, maybe less white, and decrease the saturation just to make sure that all of that reflection shows up. Similarly, in this example, I turned this red Jaguar, when Jaguar was actually Jaguar, into British racing green color. Looks pretty cool. And you can modify it anytime. By the way, as soon as we open the hue saturation adjustment, where are all the settings? You see, we modified this color, so we need to go here to see the changes we had made. So let's say this is the color that I like. You can increase or decrease the saturation, the lightness, make it black, make it white. So darn many options. Now time for a little more challenging example. Usually when we look at an image like this, we start with the remove tool or the patch tool and try to fix everything. But it really helps if you just fix the color first. That way the texture remains the most natural. Let us create a hue saturation adjustment layer. And if you can separate the reds, it works brilliantly. With the help of the hand here, let's click on this. You can deactivate the hand, up to you. Let us change the hue and saturation all the way to the right to see which areas are being affected. Now, we are going to make the range very, very narrow, like so. Again, you can just spread it out just to make it easy for you. And let's hold it from the middle and move it around. Let's expand it just so that all of the reds are being targeted. You can turn it off and on to see if they're targeted or not. So I'm going to expand it a bit more, like so. On the left-hand side, make the transition a bit stronger. There you go. You can always make changes to the transition, up to you. Now let's bring it back. Double click on the sliders. If we take the hue to the right, does it fix it? Yes, it does, slightly. If we increase the lightness, does it fix it? Yes, it does, to a huge extent. Let's increase the saturation slightly as well. And already this is such a huge improvement. Let's select the mask, press Ctrl or Command I to invert it. Now take the brush with white as the foreground color, just paint over the areas that you wish to cover. Like these, this area on the head, this area maybe. And just like that, let's have a look at the before and after. Here's the before. Here is the after. Crazy, crazy difference. And after this, removing blemishes, skin toning, retouching becomes so much easier. Now let's move to another aspect of hue saturation, and that is Colorize. Now what does Colorize do? It's in the name. It simply takes away all the colors and applies one color to the entire area. In this case, let's say you were creating a music video poster. Let's create a hue saturation adjustment. You want to take away all the colors and apply just red to this photo. Simply check Colorize. Done. You can apply any color. Change the hue to change the color. By the way, blue also looks really, really good in this case. You can change its saturation as well. So I'm going to keep it red really and keep it like so. Oh my gosh, this looks really scary. And actually write something with the text tool. I'm going to write the clown. Hit escape to apply it. Press Ctrl or Command T. Let's make it larger like so. This already looks so darn scary. And beneath it, we can use the gradient tool, a gradient from black to white, and just drag in a gradient like so. Oh, we didn't want it on the mask. Let's create a new layer and then create this gradient. Change the blend mode from normal to multiply, and already this is just so darn cool. And scary too. Now let's talk about presets. This is very simple to understand, and I use this preset from time to time. So in this example, I've made some changes to hue saturation to whiten my teeth. Here is the before, here is the after. Please don't judge me, this photo is not edited. Now, although it is also being applied to the skin because of the similarity in colors, we can just select the mask, press Ctrl or Command I, take the brush, and just roughly paint over the teeth. And it does it. It doesn't affect the gums. I have created that precise setting that perfectly works for my photos and my teeth. And I just want to save the setting that I have made. Simply click on the hamburger menu or the veggie burger menu if you're vegetarian and click on Save Hue Saturation Preset. And I'm going to save it as Whiten Teeth. Click on Save. And now when I open any other image, here's another one, similar. All I have to do is to create a hue saturation adjustment. You can actually create an action for it as well. Let us simply choose Whiten Teeth, and it's done. Select the mask, press Ctrl or Command I, take the brush with white as the foreground color, just simply paint over the teeth and you should be fine. Done. And if you want to turn it into Colgate white, you can take it all the way to the right. Now, of course, this looks unrealistic, so let's keep it the way it is. So that, my friend, concludes the hue saturation adjustment. And when you master it, and by now I'm sure you have, you are, congratulations, the master controller of colors. All you have to simply do is to keep in mind three things. Hue is what color? Saturation is how much color, whether it's dull or vivid. And lightness is simply how dark or light it is. It simply adds white or black. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to give us a like, and also don't forget to subscribe, and not just subscribe. Ring the bell so that you, my friend, don't miss any other future tips, tricks or tutorials. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Till then, stay tuned and make sure that you keep creating.